So good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us in this webinar, where hopefully you will learn more about BlockStart and our open call too. My name is Nadine Teles. I'm from F6S. I'm BlockStart's communication manager, and with me presenting, I have my colleague João Fernandes from Bright Pixel, which is BlockStart's lead partner.
Hi everyone, so really happy to have you on board, and I hope that this session helps you clarify what is BlockStart and if it's worth it to apply to our open call.
Thank you so much, João. But before we start with BlockStart and our open call too, I just have some technical recommendations for you. So first, please make sure that you have your microphone and video turned off during presentation. We also ask you to please rename yourself to first, last name, and then the entity that you represent. And you have a picture here that will help you rename yourself in our list of participants, which will be easier to identify you during our Q&A part. There will also be a slot specifically dedicated to Q&A. So if you wish to ask a question, just raise your hand like you see in the picture. Do not use the chat to ask questions or turn on your microphone unless you are asked by the moderator. Just to make a test, can everyone raise your hand? Okay, I can see you are already raising your hand, saying hello to other participants. Thank you. So the moderator will go through the raised hands and ask participants to then turn on your microphones and ask your questions. So we ask you kindly to please wait for your turn. We will answer all questions that you may have. So here's the agenda for this webinar. I will start with a short presentation of what BlockStart is. Then my colleague João will speak a little bit about our open call too. And then we will provide you with some tips and lessons learned from our open call 1 based on Q&A that we've received at the time. We will also have with us 2 companies that are being supported by BlockStart, Infidia and Leste. And with us, we will have Mirko Kikovic from Infidia and Serjan Tomasevic from Leste, who will speak a little bit about why they apply to BlockStart, how has been their experience, and also provide some tips for future applicants. And finally, we will close with our Q&A. But first, we have prepared a short poll to break the ice among ourselves so that we can get to know you a little bit more and what are your expectations for this webinar. So the first one is about your background. Do you represent a startup or an SME, a large corporate, an incubator or an accelerator or a similar entity, an association, a public entity, the general public, or another that I haven't thought of? I can see that you are already answering. We have still 10 participants to go. Don't be shy because your answers will be anonymous and this data will not appear in the video recording of this webinar. It's just for us to understand our audience. Okay, so I will close this pool. So, like we were thinking about, so the majority of you are a startup or an SME, which is of course the aim of this webinar, so that you can learn more about our open call to and eventually apply. Here you have the results. Moving on to our second pool, we would like to know in which of the following sectors are you operating at or are most interested in. So you can choose more than one option. And as these are the sectors of our open call to. Waiting just a little bit more so that everyone can send their answers. Okay, I will now close this pool and share the results with you. So we have more or less 50-50 for ICT and fintech, but a lot of interest also from retail, which is great. Moving on to our third pool, I hope you are not tired of all these questions already, but we were wondering about your main interests in this webinar. And you can also choose one, more than one option. So is your interest to learn more about how BlockStart can help develop your blockchain solution or match you with potential end user SMEs? Help your business grow by adopting blockchain technologies, or if you are part of an association or another acceleration program and want to know how BlockStart can help your community. Waiting a little bit more for everyone to answer, but I think that we are okay to close this pool and share the results with you. So the majority of you are probably already providing blockchain solutions, so you are eager to learn more about how BlockStart can help you, but also very much interested in being matched with end user SMEs. Though we also seem to have a lot of interest from end user SMEs, so how can they adopt blockchain technologies through this program, but also from our stakeholders community and how they can learn more about our program to support their community. And finally, for our last question, so did you already knew about BlockStart? Did you already apply to our open call 1 or not? Or is this actually the first time that you heard about BlockStart? Waiting just a few more seconds so that everyone can answer. I think that we are good to go. So yeah, so apparently half of you haven't heard about BlockStart, so this is the first time. So welcome to our program and hope you get excited about the possibilities of our program. But some of you already applied to Open Call 1, so you know the drill, and others it's the first time. So welcome everyone. So, what is BlockStart? BlockStart is a three-stage intensive mentor-led program that aims at fostering blockchain adoption among startups in three sectors: retail, fintech, and ICT. The main goal of this H2020 project is to facilitate goal-oriented, business-focused, and mutually beneficial partnerships between DLT blockchain solution providers and end-user SMEs, or as we call it, adopters. Just for your curiosity, BlockStart is run by Brightpixel, an early-stage investor in B2B software, currently with 15 startups invested, Civita, an innovation consultancy firm present in all Europe, and F6S, the largest community of startup founders generating 2 billion euros every year. But you might be wondering, what do we have to offer? So startups accepted into BlockStart will have access to a variety of perks, including equity-free funding, so up to 20K for each DLT blockchain solution provider, and up to 4.5K for each end-user SME. We also provide market validation, so a three-stage acceleration program that helps you fine-tune, test, and demo your blockchain solution with real users. We also provide growth support, meaning personalized mentoring throughout the program. And finally, networking and community, meaning access to potential clients and investors, and also the possibility for you to showcase your solution. And how does it work, you might be wondering. So BlockStart's acceleration program starts with a one-day event called the Ideation Kickoff. For Open Call 2, we already have a date, so it's the 26th of November, and will be an online event. In this event, participates 20 DLT blockchain startups selected from our pool of applications, which will already have the chance to present their solution to 10 end-user SMEs. Their presentations will be evaluated by business and technical experts invited to be at this event, and 10 are selected to go to the prototype stage. In this stage, DLT blockchain startups receive a grant of 1,000 euros, while end-user SMEs receive a 1,500 grant for their participation. Then, the 10 DLT blockchain startups selected at the ideation kickoff will go through a 4-month prototype stage, that will help them further develop their solution towards product market fit through an online mentoring session. So DLT blockchain startups that reach the end of prototype stage receive a grant of 15,000 euros. However, only 5 are selected to go to our program's last stage, which is the pilot stage. So during 2 months, the 5 selected DLT blockchain startups will be matched with up to 20 end-user SMEs and will have the chance to implement their solutions in real users. The program ends with a demo day scheduled for June 2021 to promote the solutions to potential clients and investors. After this stage is completed, startups will receive 4,000 euros and end-user SMEs will receive 3,000 euros for their participation and engagement in our acceleration program. And who are our target companies? BlockStart is looking for two types of companies. DLT blockchain startups, who are the solution providers, and these are seed, early, and growth stage startups in the form of SMEs that provide innovative blockchain-based solutions in three sectors: fintech, ICT, and retail. On the other hand, we also look for end-user SMEs who will serve as solution adopters. So since one of the main objectives of BlockStart is to encourage collaboration between end-user SMEs and DLT blockchain startups, during the pilot stage of the program, eligible SMEs will have the chance to implement the solutions developed by startups in the scope of BlockStart. However, please note that only selected beneficiaries of BlockStart will benefit from the program services. But you might be wondering, what do I mean by startup in the form of an SME? What we mean is that DLT blockchain startups and end-user SMEs must fulfill the following criteria: be registered as a company that complies with the Commission recommendation for SMEs, meaning that you must comply with the following three criteria that you see in the presentation. So be an independent company, so not linked or owned by another enterprise, have a net and headcount in annual work units less than 250, and also have an annual turnover less or equal to 50 million euros, or an annual balance sheet total less or equal to 43 million euros. However, please note that startups that do not yet comply with the criteria 3 that I have described are also considered eligible, given that they fulfill criteria 1 and 2 at submission time. So, good news for those who do not fulfill criteria 3 yet. Then you must also be a company located in an EU member state or at an H2020 associated country. And also, of course, be a technology provider or adopter able to develop or adopt solutions in the fintech, ICT, and retail. An important note: so if you still do not have a constituted SME, do not worry. You can apply, but only if you are applying as a DLT blockchain solution provider. So this is not applicable to end-user SMEs. So you must be an individual or a group of individuals legally established in an H2020 eligible country, and by the time you apply, you must upload Annex 5.1 instead of Annex 5, which is a written commitment to set up a legal SME with a legal VAT number by the time you reach the ideation kickoff. How about the funding? Where does it come from and how you will get it? I think it's the question you are all asking, right? So funding is given by BlockStart under a sub-grant agreement that you will sign with the BlockStart consortium. And this is actually Annex 7 of our open call documentation that you will find in our website. The funding is given by the Commission under the Horizon 2020 Framework Program, which uses BlockStart as an intermediary. The aid provided is relying on a cascade funding scheme involving H2020 funds. So BlockStart receives the H2020 funds, which are then transferred to the winners of our open call 2 based on the rules and regulations explained in our guidelines for applicants. which I urge you to read carefully, which is Annex 2 of our open call documentation. The maximum amount of funding that each blockchain startup receives is 20K. So 1K after the ideation kickoff, then 15K after the prototype stage, and finally 4K after the pilot stage. While an end user SME may receive up to 4.5K. 1.5K after the ideation kickoff, and then 3K after participating in the pilot stage. BlockStart funding is results-driven, so there will be no pre-funding. Blockchain startups and end-user SMEs are paid with the completion of each stage. However, you do not need to provide cost justifications to receive the financial support, as payments are provided in a lump sum mode and released if certain conditions or deliverables are met. You will find more information about this in our guidelines for applicants, which is our Annex 2, but we also can talk a little bit more about this in the Q&A part. And finally, regarding BlockStart's program, and just for your curiosity, in our Open Call 1, which we launched last year, we received 90 applications from 30 countries. From those, 20 blockchain startups were selected to go to the ideation kickoff, with only 10 going to the prototype stage. We are now currently running the pilot stage of our Open Call 1 after selecting the top 5 blockchain startups. And they have been partnered with 20 end-user SMEs. So for each blockchain startup, they are working more or less with 5 end-user SMEs, willing to test their solution for the upcoming 2 months of the pilot stage. And here in the bottom of our presentation, you have our top 5 blockchain startups that are currently in pilot stage: To Be Smart, Datarella, Infidia, who will be speaking today, Kidion, and Rex.io. Please go to this link that you see below and visit their profiles if you wish to know more about them. They are really interesting companies. So I will now pass over the presentation to my colleague João Fernandes, who will speak to you about our Open Call 2. João, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Nadine. So, hi everyone. Really appreciate your time committed to this webinar. And so let's start going deeper in Open Call 2. So please go next, Nadine, to the next slide. So basically, in terms of the timeline, so to put some dates in all this process, not only the application process, but then afterwards. So when the actual acceleration program will take place. So basically, right now we are receiving applications for our second open call. So we already have the experience from the first open call that provided several lessons learned. Although it went pretty well, and later on we'll share some NPS results about our first open call. But focusing on this, so 30th of September, end of this month, 5 p.m. Brussels time, and I should emphasize this specific timing. So after this time, there will be no way to apply to our open call. So to DLT startups, to the solution providers, end of this month, then the evaluation process will take up to 2-3 weeks. And on 23rd of October, ideally a bit before that, so around 20th of October, we'll communicate the results to the non-eligible, to the non-selected, and to the selected ones. Then ideation kickoff event, this time also in the first open call due to COVID, of course, online event on the 26th of November, full day, and then prototype stage, the actual further development of your solution should take place from December until March, so 4 months, around 4 month chunk of the program, and then pilot stage from April to June next year, ending with a demo day event. And in terms of the startups that will enter each of these stage, Ideation Kickoff will select 20 startups to participate in Ideation Kickoff. At the end of this day, we'll select 10 which move to prototype stage, and these 10 will have this 4-month support. And at the end of this period, 5 out of 10 will move to pilot stage, so the 5 finalists of our acceleration program. And in parallel, end user SMEs will be involved, so their open call runs until the 2nd of November. We'll give more time to SME adopters. And why is this? Because actually when we select the DLT startups until 23rd of October, ideally a bit before, we'll ask you to recommend potential applicants, potential SME adopter applicants to our open call. So basically you'll be able to get on board your current contacts, the companies you are currently working with, even, or having contacts, or companies that, for instance, you'll be eager to connect, and here you have a possibility to present them this open call. And if selected to the ideation kickoff, so they will also participate in ideation kickoff event. If they participate, they will be able to receive a grant of 1.4K, 1,500 euros to participate in this online event. So the startups that get selected will have this opportunity to showcase to their current contacts. And then SME adopters, so they will mainly participate in the ideation kickoff event to have this first matchmaking going on with the startups. And they'll come back, not only the ones that will select to ideation kickoff, but more that will be engaged along the way. They will be also participating in the pilot stage. So for the SME adopters, we'll actually have 2 cutoff dates, let's say. So the 2nd of November, first cutoff date to participate in the ideation kickoff, and then before pilot stage, so somewhere in March, SME adopters will be able to apply and to, based on the startups that will select to prototype stage. So DLT startups 1 deadline, SME adopters 2 deadlines. So, but in the Q&A, if you have some doubts about this is somehow tricky, please feel free to, and I'll be happy to further explain. So we can go next. To the next slide, please, Nadine. So I think okay. So just some quick tips about the application process. So please do not wait until the last minute, of course, to submit the application. And some recommendation and something that we may help you with your application is that if you apply, so 30th of September deadline for startups, if you apply until the end of 22nd, so 1 week before, so until 22nd September, we'll be able to do an eligibility check to your application. So mainly go through the 2 annexes that you have to to fill in the Annex 4 and Annex 5, and I should tell you that they are somehow tricky, so there are several boxes and several fields, and you have to sign here and there, so we try to make it as simple as possible, but this is European Commission supported program, so of course bureaucracy is part of the equation. So apart from the other questions that I think are quite straightforward, then these two annexes can be tricky, and there are some cases where startups actually filled in everything quite well, but these annexes, just for not checking a box or not signing in the correct place, they are non-eligible. So I strongly advise you to submit your application until 22nd end of day, and if so, we'll be able to help you out. And if there is some problem, we'll let you know, like, please change this and that, and then you'll be eligible. So from 23rd onwards, we won't be able to do this because there won't be sufficient time for us to help you. So this can be sort of this present that we give to the early birds. So English is official language, of course, everything in English. You have to submit everything through the application form in F6S, so no sending by email the annexes and so on. So please fill in everything there. And I must say also that it can be a bit scary, the application form with over 30 questions, but I should say that 2/3, like more than 20 of these questions are really straightforward, so really a quick answer, few words. Then there are some questions, and in these questions we give some guidelines, some explanation of this question, what we are aiming to in terms of your answer. And in these answers, we ask you to provide some further elements and be the most detailed and fact-based in filling in your application. But I would say that 30 minutes will be more than enough to fill in everything. Maybe the annexes will take 10 minutes more, but I would say that it's definitely worth it to fulfill an application. And if you have 30 minutes to do that, we'll be very pleased. And also, it's important to notice that you can only submit one proposal per company, and so if you submit several ones, only the last will be considered. So we can go next. So also, previous applicants, open call 1 applicants, may resubmit a proposal, but as long as you pinpoint what actually changed in your application. So you applied back in February, but now, and we will have in the form specific place to do this. So you'll have to show how did you progress, how are you different comparing to the past. So, but you'll be able to resubmit. The only circumstance that you won't be able to resubmit an application is if a DLT startup was selected to prototype stage. So the 10 that participated in prototype stage in our first open call will be excluded for resubmitting a proposal, and also SME adopters selected to pilot stage. So that was quite recent process in August. These ones also won't be able to participate in further open calls. But apart from this, even the ones that participated in the ideation kickoff will be more than welcome to resubmit. In terms of UK companies, no problem about this. So until the end of the program, we'll be able to accommodate the UK applicants. So also some final remarks about the application form. We are fully GDPR compliant in terms of do not worry that all the information you provide will only be shared among the consortium as Bright Pixel, F6S, Civita, and the European Commission, only when we specifically say that this information may be publicly released. And this is only happening when you are selected to Ideation Kickoff. So if you are among the startups actually participating in the acceleration program, along the way we'll ask you to provide us some info to showcase in our portfolio. So to show that BlockStart is this and this program, and we have selected these startups. Apart from that, do not worry. We are committed with the European Commission, and if we don't fully comply with that, we are in deep trouble. So you can be sure of that. In terms of the annexes, as I've mentioned, Annex 4, Declaration of Honor, mandatory. Annex 5, SME Declaration, mandatory. So please go through all the questions of both annexes, read it carefully. If you have any doubt, reach out to us and sign everything in the right place, check the boxes, tables. So, and you'll have to submit this through the application form. And if you are not already registered as an SME, you'll still be able to participate in the Ideation Kickoff. You'll just need to fill in the Annex 5.1, so Declaration of Commitment to establish an SME. To be paid the grant, so imagine you apply, you submit the Annex 5.1, and then you participate in the Ideation Kickoff. That's okay. But to receive the grant payment to 1,000 euros for participating in this event, you'll then have to register yourself as an SME and fill in the Annex 5, the SME declaration. So, but for the application process, by now, 5.1 is sufficient to the ones that are not already SME registered. So we can go next. So in terms of the evaluation process, how is it like? In Annex 2, in our webpage, you'll have all this information. So I'll strongly recommend you to check Annex 2, the guidelines for applicants, and FAQ in our website also, but just to give you a glimpse. So basically we receive all applications, we do an eligibility check. If you are not eligible, for instance, you are outside of the countries, or you are not an SME, you have over 250 employees, for instance, or if you don't fill in Annex 4 and 5 correctly, we'll exclude you, and you'll receive a rejection email. Then we have internal evaluation, so 2 experts from BlockStart consortium will select the top 40 startups, and if you are not among these top 40, you'll be informed. Then we have a second phase where external evaluators, 2 experts evaluating every application, will select the top 20, and these top 20 will be the ones participating in the Ideation Kickoff event in 26th of November. For SMEs, basically we have the same eligibility check and then internal evaluation. So 3 experts from BlockStart will select 10 to Ideation Kickoff event, and then later on we'll select 20 for pilot stage. So basically this is the process like. So next. In terms of the criteria, eligibility check, it's basically all annexes are uploaded, and if the applicants comply with SME criteria presented by Nadine on slide 10, and some other references that are stated in Annex 2. But if you feel everything all right, and if you are from an SME and for the right country, so European Union, associated countries, also Israel, for instance, that will be okay. Then internal and external evaluations will be as I've said, made by 2 members of BlockStart, 2 external evaluators, and the criterion are these. You'll then be able to have this presentation, so I won't dig too much on that, but basically the concept, the design, the novelty of your product, how is it interesting, concept, also technology, if it fits our scope in terms of the technological capability that you showcase, how innovative is your solution. And also this is very important, so technical milestones also to show that you have everything kind of planned or thought out, and also that you show the ability to achieve TRL 6 to 9 at pilot stage. So we are targeting projects that are able to show that within the next 4 months they will be able to advance the solution to be ready to be piloted or like live demo within 4 months during the last 2 months of the project. So it's important, and you can even be kind of the idea stage but a bit more advanced. So you should be really with all the capabilities to proceed with an actual MVP, but you can even have something already kind of developed, but you are eager to improve it and to further and to explore a different component of your project, and that will still be regarded as a prototype, but not a solution fully that is fully in the market and completely, and you will make only minor changes. That won't be the scope of our project. But if it's something that you're eager to have major developments, it will still be relevant for us. There's then impact, societal impact, and so market potential. How do you show that there is actual business there and actual strategy behind your project? And SME team, so feel free, and more than free, feel welcome to present the profiles of your core team. And in the application form, you will have a section for that, to show that why you are the ones that will move this project forward. So next, please. So SMEs, the criteria, eligibility again, if it's a registered SME. Also, you have to fill in the DLT assessment tool, the do you need blockchain form that we have in our website, and fill in correctly also the Annex 4 and 5. In the criteria are based in, again, internal evaluation, and so the 3 criteria are the potential to being matched with the selected DLT startups. So you should be relevant to the startups that we select, and this will be the biggest criteria. Then also the innovation level of your use case, so that blockchain really makes sense for you, and that is impactful implementation for SIM. And then the score, the automatic score that will be granted by filling in the do you need blockchain tool. So SME adopters will be evaluated twice again, so their open call will run until ideation kickoff, and then just before pilot stage to select the ones participating in pilot stage. So next, I think I'm almost done. So yeah, hand over to Nadine, to the tips and lessons learned, to the insider guidelines about OpenCall 2 based on OpenCall 1 experience.
Thank you, João, for your presentation. So we have prepared some tips and lessons learned for you with the learnings from our OpenCall 1, which we hope might answer some of the questions you were already having through the course of this presentation. So we received a lot of questions about the possibility of subcontracting. So successful applicants can actually use part of the money of their subgrant to subcontract services from a technological partner to help them implement the project when, for instance, certain skills are missing because the team is still very much in the beginning of the solution. However, you must make sure that you have the necessary skills within the team to actually develop the solution, as this will be done by your team and not by the subcontracted party. It's your team who will go through the BlockStart program. So you need to make sure that your proposal is reasonable and in line with the milestones to be reached in the scope of BlockStart. So subcontracting is possible. You have to make sure that it is only there to support you in some tasks and not to run the overall project that you will do in the scope of our program. There was also a few questions about if BlockStart grants would need to comply with the Commission's de minimis regulation. What we can tell you is that being directly supported by the Commission, BlockStart grants do not need to comply with this regulation. And in fact, the support that we provide is within the 2,000 euros scope. Then some companies also asked us, and well, about our data protection and confidentiality process by the time they apply to BlockStart. So not throughout the program, but when they are filling in their online application form. So what we can tell you is that BlockStart's contract with the Commission means that all the consortium partners need to comply with confidentiality and no conflict of interests clausulas, like my colleague João has already explained you. So all the proposals received in the scope of the program and all the evaluation made by our external experts will not be made public, will not be shared with anyone, not even among ourselves, and only a short summary report will be provided to the European Commission. Then other companies also asked us about the TRL level of the solution at the time they were applying to BlockStart. So you can actually apply to BlockStart program with only an idea, so not a fully grown solution or a solution already in the market. So that's not what we are aiming for in the beginning of your application process. However, you will be evaluated based on your ability to achieve TRL 6 to 9. So the criteria 2 related with technology that João already told you about. So even though you only have an idea of the solution you want to build, you must clearly demonstrate in your application that you will be able to reach that TRL level during pilot stage, which, depending on the sector and on the solution that you are thinking about, might be difficult to implement in such a short time. But what if you are a startup with no turnover by the time you also apply? Do you think you are still eligible or are you not? So a major question that we got from our open call 1. So according to our Annex 2 guidelines for applicants, which is the Bible of BlockStart, let's say, yes, you are eligible if you fulfill criteria 1 and 2 of the Commission's recommendations for SMEs that I explained you in the beginning of my presentation, which are, you must be an independent company and you also need to have less than 250 people working for you. So if you fulfill these 2 criteria, you may not comply with criteria 3 by the time you are applying to BlockStart. So I think that for some of you, probably that's good news. Finally, what are the deliverables or milestones that you need to comply with if you get to be a part of BlockStart program? So for DLT blockchain startups, when you are filling out the application form, you need to submit a kind of a work plan, which is Annex 3.1 called Proposal Supplement. So you will find all these annexes and all these explanations in our website. And this is also a mandatory annex for you to upload in your application form if you are a blockchain startup. So successful applicants will be provided mentoring throughout our program. So 4 months for our prototype stage and 2 months for our pilot stage to fine-tune those milestones that you have set in the beginning of your application. So, and by the end of each stage, you will need to deliver a report with the status of those milestones and then present or pitch your solution. And these are the deliverables that you need to comply with to be able to move forward and be evaluated throughout our phases. And I would also like to provide you with some further recommendations from when you are applying to BlockStart. I believe that João already mentioned them, but it's also good to mention them again. So the application form for blockchain startups has more or less 30 questions. So you might think that this will take a lot of unnecessary time from your part, but in fact, almost half of these questions are short answers of up to 1,000 characters. And we want you to be short and concise on those questions. So in other questions, you are expected to be much more detailed and provide answers supported by facts. And please always take a closer look at the text that sometimes is below the question, so in gray, in light gray, that asks for specific elements to complement your answers. And that provides added value to your answers. There is a specific question also referring to end user SMEs in the application form. This is not a mandatory question, but is of added value for your application if you fill it in. As you will be saying that you already have or are starting to have contact with end user SMEs, and you are able to describe those contacts. So in the scope of BlockStart, you will be able to strengthen those contacts, and they will also be able to apply for our end user SMEs open call. And after all, BlockStart is about partnerships. So answering these questions with all the elements that you already have from your side would be of extreme added value. So finally, I would like to present to you some survey results just for curiosity regarding participant satisfaction in our open call 1, either for the feedback we received from participation in our kickoff event, but also the feedback that was already provided by the 10 blockchain startups that participated in our prototype stage. So in this slide, you can see that we had an average of 8.6 on a scale of 1 to 10 for recommendation of BlockStart open call to potential participants. So we must say that we are very happy with this result. We have also asked the 10 startups that have gone through our prototype stage that ended last month, and they were even provided us with a higher score, so an average of 8.9 on a scale from 1 to 10, with half of them rating us with the maximum value of 10. So congrats to all of our mentors that have accompanied these startups throughout our program, because they were always there for them, and this shows in the satisfaction that we are getting from our participants. Here are also some very important links for you, such as where to go when you need to ask further questions that are not answered in the scope of this webinar. Also, where you can access BlockStart's Open Call to Applications forms, either for blockchain startups and for end user SMEs. You also have there the link for our BlockStart Bible, so our guidelines for applicants, and also for our FAQ, which also provides some detailed answer to some questions that you might be wondering about. And also, if you want to sign up for our newsletter and keep track of what we are doing, sign up. We will be glad to provide you with all the support that you need and all the information you need about BlockStart. And now I would like to give a warm welcome to our two speakers. So Mirko Kikovic from Infidia and Sejan Tomasevic from Leste. Infidia has been part of our program since day one and is now part of our top 5 blockchain startup who is going through our pilot stage, together with Leste, an end-user SME willing to test and implement Infidia's blockchain-based solution. So Mirko and Serjan, thank you so much for accepting our invitation and for your enthusiasm about our program. So the floor is yours. And please let me know if you wish me to stop the presentation so that you can share your screen. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Nadine. And we are happy to be here, and we are glad that BlockStart invited us, and really grateful for all the help that BlockStart provided us in a past 6 months. I will share some words about our startup. Then I will present our great team. I will tell you that you should definitely apply to BlockStart, and then I leave the screen and the mic to our dear SME adapter Leste and their representative Serjan. So Infidia is a part of the BlockStart, and we are the seamless invoice verification for invoice financing. Yes, Infidia is a B2B startup. So if in case you don't know what invoice financing is basically getting money in advance for your invoices. So in those terms, most of people need invoice financing, most companies. And invoice financing is for all small manufacturers, distributors, service providers, actually any business that has invoices that are above 30 days due date. And in doing so, I will explain in a few details how Infidia works. And it's basically when a business makes an invoice, Infidia verifies that invoice and sends request to the bank or other lender. This is simplified version because it's much more complicated, and we have our proprietary solution. We are connecting to APIs of other solutions, and we couldn't do that work without our great team. So in the upper tier are people that are fully committed to working on Infidia, and we have a great help for our consultants and the people that are there occasionally helping out and being members of our team. But when I'm saying team, I would like to add another member of our team, and that is our great mentor, Ugnas. He was provided by the BlockStart to Infidia, and we just can't express how grateful we are for having him around. When I say around, because he was really giving us a friendly and honest advice during the past 6 months. And he, as an entrepreneur himself, he was providing us a really structured approach and asking us those questions that many startups don't wanna hear, and giving us those guidelines and reality checks, and it was really helpful to have him on board. One of the major advantages of the BlockStart program is that it gives you that structured approach that could really lead your startup to great results. Why is that? Because I know how the startups can spend a lot of time, and in the past 6 months we did a ton. And in those terms, the whole program is really giving an immense value. And beside our mentor, I can say from all the chat we had and all the communication we have and his structured approach, I would say that Joao is a great mentor as well. And we had a presentation yesterday with another great mentor, and Nadine is here to give us an overall help. So I would say that you should apply, definitely apply, because there's a bunch of good people here that are really willing to help your startup. And when I'm telling about good people, I will give the the mic and screen to another great person. That is one of our SME adapters, as we with the help of a BlockStart have acquired 5 SME adapters that are using our solution, testing our solution, giving us feedback, like Serjan did 2 days ago, because we have meetings that are on a 2 weeks period, and it really gives you something that you wouldn't otherwise have, because getting to clients and having a regular conversation with them, it's really hard. I know that from my previous startup experience, and you probably know that. And now we have our SME adopters as our real test users, and we are writing stories about them. This is the excerpt of our blog when you're writing stories about our users. This is a part 3, because it includes 2 more users out of the all that applied in a previous months. And since NVIDIA supports education of better humans, this is the title of the article. I'm presenting you one of the best humans, the representative and the leader, CEO of Leste Educational Services, online education, to give you his perspective on his application to BlockStart, and his experience with NVIDIA and all our talks and all the experience that we have. Serjan, I'm giving you the screen and the mic.
Thank you, Mirko. Hello, everyone. My name is Serjan Tomašević. I'm the founder of the company Leste. We developed our solution in e-learning. We have our platform, and we're working with huge e-learning, huge companies in the Southeast Europe region. Besides the e-learning platform, we are also creating materials for e-learning. So all the kind of videos, documents, audio, and so on. I'm generally interested in blockchain as a technology for last few years, and I was part of a few conferences about blockchain and organized one of them in Belgrade, in Serbia, which is Blockchain Adria Meetup 2 years ago. And I'm generally interested in blockchain as a technology because it's not just the future, it's already the present, and the possibilities that blockchain has. It's I mean, in some way mind-blowing. So we're going to see what's going to happen about that technology in the future. My longtime friend and the business consultant Mirko Kikovic contacted me and introduced me with BlockStart program. Leste as a company, we're using factoring for last couple of years, and we have some good and some bad experiences about factoring. So I think that considering their solution, we are a great match. And we as a company decided to join NVIDIA to test and hopefully to also promote their solution. When I'm thinking about factoring, one of the main advantages for my business is working capital optimization and better controlling of my cash flow. And I think that the potentials for using these solutions are really huge. I already saw first like a demo of their application, and I think that it's really impressive. There is some things that we have to do also, but I think that for start, this is really impressive. And my main advice for all the companies that are thinking to be part of BlockStart and generally blockchain is to really to apply to this program, because not just that we're going to stay in touch with what is happening with the blockchain, but also to be part of testing and to have some possibilities to see what we can really use and where we can be part of. So that's just short message from my side. I can also invite everyone who has factoring need for factoring to contact Nvidia, and hopefully to be part of their solution in the future. And for any other questions from my side, I'm here if you have anything to ask me. And about the application, my experience about application in BlockStart is really apply on time, because I made a mistake when I was made application, and BlockStart team quickly contacted me and said, change this and we're going to accept your application. And big hello for the BlockStart team also. Thank you. If you have any questions, I'm here.
Thank you so much, Mirko and Sergen. That was a great testimonial from your side, and I hope that it brings a real use case of what BlockStart is to our potential applicants. So we can now move forward to our Q&A parts. So I know, João, that we already have some questions. Perhaps, João, you can start by answering some of those questions, so people are eager to learn more about our program.
Yes. So first of all, thank you very much for the great testimonials. We are really moved to hear such kind words from Serge and Mirko. So really, it makes our work worth it. And so I hope that in the next open call we have such great teams and such great people actually as we have in the first open call. So moving to the questions, and thank you very much to Monica and Christina that kicked off the Q&A and sent to the chat. Later we'll let you ask questions by raising hand and either to us or to Mirko and Sergen. But starting with Monica's question, it's more straightforward, and then I'll move to 7 questions from Christina. Thank you very much, Christina, for so relevant questions actually. So Monica, will physical presence be required? So in BlockStart program, the idea will be that there will be 2 events where selected companies will have to physically attend. But right now with coronavirus, 26th of November, no physical presence, so online event. And then the only other occasion that may have physical presence is by the end of June next year, but just for the 5 finalists, 5 pilot stage startups. And that time we should assess if we will be able to have physical presence or not. We will only move to that option only if everything is okay with all this situation. But as of today, no physical presence required. To Christina, moving to Christina questions. So I'll read out loud. So is it obligatory that end user SMEs partner with startups at the stage of application, or they apply and then choose with which of the selected blockchain startups to partner? Yes, it's this second option. So at the time of application, either DLT startups and SME adopters, they may not have any connection with the other side. So although if you mention that will be something that we'll value because it shows that you are somehow kind of prepared to have an acceleration program with actual results. But we won't discriminate startups that do not have any contacts already with potential adopters, and the same for SMEs that are quite new to this reality. So, but short answer, at stages of application, no commitment, no connection is obligatory. Only if you have it, please mention it in the application form. Then second question, is the SME that choose the startup to partner with, or BlockStart team decide whom they will work? So we try to be as versatile and to put the ownership of things in as much as possible in the SMEs and startups. So we'll try to be moderating and not directing things. And so we will always ask startups if they feel these SMEs are relevant or not for them, and the same the other way around. So for SMEs, so that we will pretty much include their opinions. So BlockStart will only guide and do some validation, but I would say that the lion's share of the who each startup will connect with, and the same for SMEs. So if the SMEs feel that a given startup is not relevant for them, that will be the major criteria. So it's pretty much up to you with our guidance, of course. Then how many applications from end user SMEs? We had 57 applications from SMEs, end user SMEs, and 90 applications from startups. So we are quite happy, but we are looking forward to have much more in the, so we are aiming for plus 100 applications from both startups and SMEs, but still for the first open call, it was not bad at all. So if you didn't understand correctly, 90 startups, 57 SMEs. So I've just sent through the chat. Then fourth question, is it possible for branch associations to apply, for example, an association of retailers? In principle, so the major criteria is if it is an SME, if it fulfills the SME criteria, but we'll say that we rather prefer to have the individual retailers. So we look at associations more as disseminators, like association to share with their associates, so to share this opportunity with them, because we want really to have hands-on practical results from implementation in this retailer and not in 10 retailers or whatever. So we are basically eager to have more direct relationship between startup and SME adopters. Then is it obligatory for end users to have good knowledge about blockchain in advance? It's not obligatory, so it's a criteria. So if you show that you are more prepared to take on blockchain and you show that it's relevant for you, it makes sense, because blockchain is not the silver bullet for everything. It will be valid but not obligatory. As the scope of this program is pretty much to introduce you to this old reality, so not we won't be too rigorous on that. Then what happens if the end user SME is selected and could not find its partner startup among the selected ones? So for ideation kickoff, it will be a bit different, because for ideation kickoff, the idea of the event is to promote some matchmaking, to try to have some conversation going on. But for pilot state, definitely an SME will only be selected if there is already a clear connection with the startup. So a connection that we may facilitate the BlockStart project. So we will only select SME adopters after we checked with them. So we checked both with SME adopters. So in which startup are you interested in? And you tell us that you are interested in this particular startup, and then we validate also with the startup. So this SME is interested to work with you to implement your solution. Is it relevant or not? So we do this matchmaking before selecting. So there is no such case of SME being selected and there is no startup. We do this validation prior to the selection. And just to have a reference that in pilot stage, each of the 5 startups are expected to implement their solution in an average of 4 SMEs. So it's not only one startup implementing solution in one SME. The goal, the average is like around 4. So there are some cases that startups implementing 1, 2, 3 SMEs, other cases that implementing 5, 6, eventually SMEs. But our idea is that on average, you are able to implement in pilot stage your solution in 4 SMEs. But if you are not able to, if 2 is the maximum, there will be no problem also. We will be considering that, of course. And final question from Christina: is it the case that you start with selection of startups and then try to match with end user SMEs, or vice versa? Startups are answering to challenges of SMEs. I would say that it's more the first scope. So basically we select first the startups and we select then SMEs that are relevant to the solution of the startups. So mainly, and especially in pilot stage, definitely. So ideation kickoff, there is some room for some discovery, some exploratory talks in 26th of November, but definitely then for pilot stage, we will only have SMEs that are relevant to the specific solutions developed by startups. So we try to be as relevant as possible and driven mostly by startups. We should assume that. Then final questions, no, we have still a bit time, but is there any special consideration for projects that have a social benefit and are not 100% commercial? Yes, for sure. So European Commission is happy on not only with fully profit-driven projects, but also projects that have great societal impact. So definitely social sector is also something that we are happy to consider, of course. And then another question I'm seeing in the chat. For prototyping, we will be using a partner team, but we have lots of industry knowledge to drive business on. Once MVP has been launched and we raise more funds, we will switch to building an in-house technology team. Do we qualify or no, because we have partner with a technology partner at application stage? So I would say that this is a bit linked with the reference from Nadine. So you may subcontract, but you have to clearly show that you have, for instance, CTO and the whole strategy and at least someone developing from your side. So not fully taken by an external company. But I'll ask Nadine if you would like to comment on this. So specific cases are always tricky to analyze. But Nadine, would you like to add something to this? Nadine, so
sorry,
I will.
Some troubles with the sound. Yes, so this seems to be a question of subcontracting. So we have received already some questions about this, but
so
yes.
Okay. Now I think we are we are hearing you. I don't know if it's actually from my internet connection. But if someone haven't heard Nadine, please let us know in the chat. Otherwise,
are you hearing me well?
now I am, but I think
yes.
it's
Okay.
more.
Yes. Well, if you want, you can send me an email with specific questions like this one that João already answered, and we will go case by case because it much depends on the team that you already have, the solution that you want to develop in the scope of BlockStart. So it very much depends on the case and what type of subcontracting you are thinking about. So send me an email and we will get back to you.
Yes. So then
we also have two more questions that they were sent only to me, but I forward you, João, so you find it on the chat.
Okay, so who is going to be the owner of prototype and pilot at the end of the process? The SME, the owner. So prototype. The DLT developer is always the owner of the solution. So during prototype and even during pilot, what happens during pilot stage is that we stimulate and we demand startups and SMEs to have some agreement going on. So basically try to see if after pilot stage, if the relationship will end as that, or if there will be some special agreements like a free of charge use during some period, or a discounted use of the solution after pilot stage, or any exclusivity deal, or any. So, but this is up to the startup and SME. So we try to facilitate this negotiation, but basically it's the startup who developed the solution. It's fully owned by them. SMEs are benefiting from this implementation by testing this solution in the scope of a program that is actually paying them to have the benefit of having a solution developed, taking their specific needs. But of course, that during pilot stage, we try to make sure that the relationship will live on. But this will be pretty much based in the interaction between both sides. So, and then the second question: is it possible to see the draft contract between the BlockStart and the SME? It's actually Annex 7. So yes. Annex 7 and Annex 7.1. So, but I'll send you through you'll have in our web page. But I'll send you right away here in the SME adopters web page. Here you'll have all the information about the SME adopters open call. Here you'll have the DLT startups and the annex, the template for the annex is actually, so let me copy the link. This is for the DLT developers, and this is for the SME adopters. Let me only, so of course that you'll have this, you can take a look of these elements. So sorry for the links are too close in the chat, but feel free to copy this and to check our website, reach out to us if any doubt arises. So I'll now ask you if you like to raise some hands and have some final questions.
Yes, we still have 5 more minutes to go. So please feel either to ask your question on our chat or raise your hands if you wish to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps everything was so clear that you don't have any more questions, but
let's hope so.
If you do, you can always send us an email. So we will send you a follow-up email with this presentation and also the link for this video if you want to go through it again when trying to apply to our open call 2. And you will have, of course, access to that slide where we have those important links. But I will also post here our official email address where you can send all the questions that you may have. If you, meanwhile, you are applying, you wish to know more, you have some doubts, please feel free to contact us and we will be very much glad to help and support you throughout this process.
Yeah. So final call for questions. Please raise your hands or send through the chat if you are a bit shy. Totally okay. So just some final seconds for you to have some questions answered, and after that I'll do just some 4 final notes, like with some messages that I'll like you to keep from this presentation.
I think, João, you can,
okay.
say
I can start, and then if you remind some question, feel free to send through the chat, of course. So first out of 4 messages, if you have any doubts, first we'll ask you to check our FAQ in our website, also the Annex 2 guidelines for application, or send the email to blockstart.eu email hello. So basically these 3 elements are the go-to resources to see if any doubt may be solved. Also, the second message is that although this is an H2020 program supported by European Union, and sometimes these programs are regarded only as the benefit of the financial grant, and they are too bureaucratic and so on, you can rest assured that we try to be as agile, as practical as possible. And I can talk from Bright Pixel side. So we are an early stage VC investor. So we are on this to scout potential investments, to know interesting startups, to test their market potential. So we are really on this for the purpose of trying to help as much as possible great startups, and to have SMEs also benefiting from it. So we are up to flexibility, practical results, mentoring, and then of course networking is the main value of our program, even over the grant, financial grant. I think it will be a side result and not the core. And if you have some curiosity of what kind of startups are they helping, what is their experience with the program, I pretty much welcome you to check these 2 links. So our startups, the portfolio of startups, and especially the 10 participating in prototype stage, I think that take a look of them and see if the profile kind of fits the stage that you are at, although we are quite broad in terms of the stage of development. Then also check our newsroom, our blog. You'll find there some interviews to the startup participants, their experience, how it looks like, not only in terms of the program, but then also in terms of the how they see the future after the participation in this program. Third message is, please apply as soon as possible. I'll strongly recommend you to do so until 22nd of September, so that we can help you with eligibility check as with last case. So Annex 4 and 5 are kind of tricky. So if you do 1 week before the deadline, we'll be able to help you out. And then final message is pretty much about if you find this useful for you, and if you happen to know any startup that will also be interested in this kind of program, or an SME that is curious about blockchain and wants to have matchmaking with interesting startups, receive grants also, of course, please share this opportunity with fellow startups, SMEs, disseminators, if you happen to know accelerators, associations, investors that could be interested to share with their network this open call. We will be pretty happy and moved by that gesture. And so bear in mind, deadline for startups 30th of September. So let's have great applications to analyze. And thank you very much for participating in this webinar.
Thank you so much, and enjoy a lovely day, all of you. And we hope that you may apply to our program. And thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.